There's no laughter in real estate.
No.
All right. Today we're going to talk about finding and show homes, and I'm going to wander into the multiple listing service probably. I probably will. And so this is a copy of the Ignite handout. So those of you that are online should be able to access it. How many of you saw an email from me with a video this weekend? How many of you watched the video? You're lying. I can tell you.
I did, yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. So the point of the video was that in order to make progress, we ought to have goals. All right, and so what I would suggest that you do is you put together goals for what are you planning on accomplishing in March? It's now March 1st, right? Isn't that right? So what are the projects, activities that you would like to complete in the month of March? I think in my video I had some suggestions. I don't have a copy of the handout. How many of you came to that home buying seminar that we did? Jay did, Brandy, right? We did that on Saturday. Did you get a copy of the handout, the book?
Yeah.
That we put together? Patrick and his wife were doing that at night. So do you have, yes, it's $5, what did we charge, $5 for the handout? 50.
They were all gone, yeah.
So, yes, I'll get you a copy of it, but the point is that would it be a useful goal that in March, you're gonna have buyer consultation packages put together, 3 of them that you can carry with you, that you could give to somebody if you ran into somebody that was interested in buying a house. Might it be useful to have 3 listing presentation packages put together? Yeah. Would it be a good idea in March to actually talk to people about buying or selling real estate?
Yes.
How about making a goal, right? And if you're not good at monthly goals, you can start with a daily goal and a weekly goal. And the daily goal might be something really strenuous, something that really pushes yourself, like 2 people a day, right? You can make a goal. I'm going to leave my house and talk to 2 people a day about real estate. And if you did that 5 days a week, that would be 10 people a week times 4 weeks would be 40 people a month. And if you did that for 10 months, because we don't want to overwork you, that would be 400 people you would have had conversations with. And if 1 in 20 of them, 1 in 25 of them, if 1 in 50 of them resulted in a transaction, would that be a worthwhile, right? For many of you, that would be a big pay raise, right? Isn't that right? How about open houses? How many of you did an open house last weekend? How did you get it?
I called so many times the agent
And you called,
finally he said
you
yes.
hounded agents, and you did one too, Roberta?
I showed houses to clients.
So how did you meet those clients?
They were referred to me by another agent.
All right, but did you meet anybody at an open house that you're working with?
I do, yes.
Right.
Yes, in the past.
So if you're not showing homes to people on the weekend, my suggestion is you do open houses. And so the whole purpose of the 411 is to say, my goal is to do 3 open houses in March, 4 open houses in March, 2 open houses in March, a half of an open house in March is my goal. I plan to talk to 2 people a week about real estate, right? Whether I did 10 a month. So I'm being facetious, those are kind of low goals, but you ought to do that. And then the question should be, what are you going to do this week? Do you have a plan for how many people you're going to contact this week? How many open houses you're going to set up? Do you time block for when you're going to do those things? I'm just going to try. Did you see, what would Yoda say? I think you should always ask yourself, when you say, I'm going to try, what would Yoda say?
Beware of the dark side.
Beware of the dark side. I think it's too late. We've already found the dark side. Didn't Yoda say, there is no try, right? Do or not do. Right, isn't that right? So if you would like to make money in real estate, it's good to have a plan and to work your plan, right? So part of it, that was you ought to be, because you understand learning how to find and show homes is going to be a waste of time if you never talk to anybody about buying a house. This is a theory I have. But of course, some people I think are in real estate for the entertainment value, right? It's a hobby, right? Gardening, you don't actually go anywhere either, right? Isn't that right? It just gives you something to do. You get into the sun. Notice it talks about turning leads into business. My business is growing as my database grows. How many of you have a database in eEdge? Did you add anybody in the last 7 days? We've got some people. Do you realize that at 600 real people in the database, you could do 50 transactions a year? All right, 50 transactions a year. And there are people that I talk to that have 4,000, 5,000 people that aren't doing 50 transactions a year. And what usually means is they're not working the database well, right? You understand? Importing everybody, too many people doesn't necessarily help. So we're going to keep going. There's some scripts here. One of the most common questions I get from people is, what should I say? All right, and I probably will do this just to be irritating, but if you go into kw.com, I feel like being irritating today. So today, you're thinking, what do you mean today? So here's kw.com. I've logged in. Under education is something called Keller Williams University. And also, if we were to go down here to all products, A through Z, and you click on that, and you click on S for scripts, you're going to find script catalogs. Plus the Ignite session has scripts. Win with buyers has scripts. Win with sellers has scripts. Lead generation has scripts. There's script catalogs. Right? I'm just saying, it's more that everybody got really, but I just thought I would. So when you're doing an open house, do you have a script? Do you know what to say? What's the close at an open house? What are you trying to do? Get an appointment. Right? And why would they want to meet with you?
You'll help them with their home search.
To find a home.
To find a home. Well, can't they go on Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com, Redfin, and find a home?
Well, the value we can give them, they can't get it from there, all the information, we can just.
They can't get information from Redfin?
How can we help them?
You are the expert.
We are the expert. Redfin seems like they're an expert. What?
They're lying.
But
They're lying. They say you're lying.
They're not live people, we are live in front of them.
We're live in front of them. Some of you are more alive than others, I think, but that's true.
A website can only do so much.
They can only do so much.
Yeah, a
They got
personal
diamond
effect
card
has
around.
way more.
I don't have to deal with snippy agents trying to get me to do things I don't want to do. So how about this?
They're not paying us anyway.
They're not paying us anyway. So what should they expect? That's right. This would make a good slogan for your business card.
You're not paying.
I'm free and I'm worth it. I might use that. I'm free and I'm worth it. So I think I did this, by the way, Patrick, I think recorded our home buying seminar, and if so, if you pay him a nominal fee, he'll probably give you a link at some point. But one of the things one of the questions you need to ask people is, has anybody, I was telling them that if they paid you, you might give them a link to that
Video? I
video.
haven't had a chance to upload it yet.
All right.
Yes.
Okay.
I will charge Michael for all of your use.
Right, so, I'll bet. So the question you want to ask people is, after you've asked them what I would call qualifying questions, which would be like, first question I ask somebody is, are you folks from the neighborhood? Or are you out looking at homes? Right? then, depending on what they say, right, because either they're a neighbor that's nosy or they're somebody that's out looking at homes, they said, we're out looking at homes, great, what was it about this one that caught your eye while we were driving around the neighborhood? Oh, so you like the area, that's cool. How long have you been looking for a home to buy? How many homes have you actually seen? Why haven't you bought one yet? Have you had a chance to talk to a lender and find out based upon your income, your expenses, the amount of cash you have available, exactly how much of a loan you're pre-approved for? Do you currently rent or do you own? If you rent, are you on a fixed lease or are you on month to month? All right, are you working with an agent yet? If they say several, that's a no. And my final question would be, has anyone shared with you how to negotiate the best deal possible when buying a home in a market like we're in? Are you interested in getting the best deal possible if you buy a home? Do you want the worst deal or the best deal possible? Right, so they'll say, well, of course, well, do you understand in a market like we're in, you need a strategy to buy anything? And if you want to get a good deal, you need to have a good strategy. Has anyone ever shared with you a good strategy for making the best deal possible in a market like we're in now? No? Great. I suggest we do that first. Right? I'd like you to a free home buying consultation where I can show you the best strategy for getting a good deal and buying a home in the market we're in. Does that sound good to you? Does that sound good to you? Great. Are weekdays or weekends better? Weekend, Saturday or Sunday? Saturday morning or afternoon or evening? Afternoon 1, 2, 3, right? So that they pick a time and date, right? Moving forward, so finding and showing homes. So I'm assuming you've actually talked to people about buying homes. You've had hopefully an appointment with them to make sure they actually can afford to buy a home. And we're going to talk about, I don't know why I did that. Set them up on a buyer instant notification system. What that means is something like an IDX program. Let me just talk about that. So I have a website that I use that is a Keller Williams standard issue website. Two people from whatever it is I'm doing, I'm not really too sure why, have set up email alerts for properties and they're viewing them, right? So I've done a little bit to market my website and people have gone to it and they've set up buyer instant notification system. That means they've set up listing alerts all on their own, right? Now I know that I need a bunch of them before I start selling homes, but I've had two and I really haven't done a lot. So the idea that you have one on your website, do you have in your email signature something that says find your dream home with a hyperlink to your website where people can fill out a form that says they're looking for homes? Right? And so eEdge, which is the system that we use, has some pluses. On the plus side, number one, the branding is very cool. So if you want to see what is that, what do I mean the branding is very cool, let me go to one of my emails. And I believe Amber, who is somebody that I recruited, Amber Dallaire. Let me just see. Amber, most recent associate, open houses, new, come on, back here. NEWLIS to NJS, new listings, WEDNE, Wednesday's listings. All right, Jennifer Hopkins, Liz Aguero. All right, I like Liz Aguero. Let me just get rid of, why is this doing this? Go away. So this is what a eEdge email alert looks like. Nice picture. For some of you, I would suggest using hers. I'm just saying. Nice branding, hyperlinks to the phone number. Click here down to download the best mobile app in real estate. That's all because she's fixed her email signature in eEdge. Notice there are pictures of homes in the email. This is a good thing. Are people more likely to click on a picture of a home than an email? Right, so to show you what it would look like otherwise, let me, VACANT, vacant listing, vacant, let me see if this one, all right. So this is what the MLS listing alert email looks like. Want me to go back to the one from Liz Aguero? Which one looks better? The one from Liz Aguero looks a lot better. Would everybody agree?
Yep.
Looks a lot better. Can you see any pictures? No. So we go here and we click on the link. Can we see any pictures? No. No. Right? So now we can start clicking on properties and now we can see a picture. So does everybody understand the branding of the eEdge website is pretty good? And it sends them an email with the pictures embedded in it. So that's a plus for the buyer instant notification system listing alerts from eEdge. That's a plus. Would everybody agree? That's one for them, right? Another one for them is that people can set it up, modify it all on their own. This system, I would have to go in, if Madhu called me up and said, you know, I don't want to see any more listings in that area anymore, and could you change the price range from this to that, and would you add free, right, I have to manually do all that, right? But now, at one point, I had 180 different people running listing alerts on my website. And you would start shooting yourself and other people if you had to manually input them all and make changes every time somebody wanted to make a change. Do you understand? However, the eEdge site, going back to Liz Aguero's, they can log into it and they can add areas, they can change prices, they can do stuff, all on their own. Wouldn't that be nice to get people to do? So that's the plus. And by the way, you also can do it within eEdge. So if I'm in eEdge, I can actually do an MLS search from your contact record, create the MLS search, launch it, and you start getting emails of listings. I can do that without having to log into the MLS. Right? Does everybody see these are all good things? On the other hand, IDX, which is the Internet Data Exchange, which is what eEdge uses, doesn't have as many search criteria as the MLS. The MLS has 135 different fields you could search from, right? Whereas this has like 5. Examples are fixer-uppers. Oh, you need the MLS to do that. Searching for probates, you need the MLS to do that. I had a client once that said he wanted equestrian property, that it had to be near an equestrian trail. He didn't care if it was Santa Clara or San Mateo County. It had to be within so many miles of a known equestrian trail. Now that can be done in the MLS by adding what are called polygon or radius searches. You can add, I got a list of the trails and I did searches around their entry spots, clipped them all together into one MLS search and sent it to him, and he bought a horse farm, right, down in Morgan Hill. So that you can do in the MLS. You cannot do stuff like that in this. So where I'm going with this is that when you're first just talking to people, sending them to this site and letting them set up searches is good. Before you actually, when you meet with them in a buyer consultation and you've had a chance to really ask them a lot of questions, it's at that point that I switch people over to the MLS. And I point out to them that it's going to look ugly, right? It's going to look like this. But you're motivated, aren't you? Aren't you motivated? Click on that link. By the way, this also sends me a copy. This, by the way, is my copy of the one that she got. So would it be a good idea for me to take a look at the properties that the client is being sent, and if there's something that looks right? You understand, this is somebody that has met with me. We've done a consultation. They've made a commitment to work with me exclusively. should I be proactive in looking at that list and seeing which ones really look like, maybe even going and previewing them, and then calling them up and saying, I just saw that, did you see it? Because a lot of times if you call them and say, did you see the property? And they're going to be like, no, I didn't see anything. Right? Yeah, I didn't see anything. I clicked on the link and I fell asleep. I looked at that and I said, oh, I never saw anything. Right? So this, by the way, is a really long list. By the way, but yeah, do you know what Madhu wanted me to make for her? She's an agent in San Carlos. List of the vacant listings that are coming on the market every day in Santa Clara and San Mateo County. I wonder why. Because she listens to me. All right. So, does everybody understand that I should be proactively looking at these two, previewing the property, calling them up, saying, you got to see this one, and making an appointment to show them homes? Does everybody understand that sequence? Because one of the most common questions I get is, should I use the MLS or should I use eEdge or what should I use? Right? And I would say you could live with eEdge, but by the way, the MLS updates every 15 minutes. And eEdge at best twice a day. But and I found that there are properties that the MLS found that none of the IDX programs seem to find. It's not perfect. They're feeding in information from all over the place. All right. So you should set them up on a system. You should monitor what they receive either through the website or your app. So if I log in, I'm always afraid to do this because I know agents will copy down people's email addresses when they see them on my screen. Right? Isn't that right? Some of you guys are not motivated enough to do that. I know. So I'll just show you. I was at a management thing one time and I made the statement, somebody said, you shouldn't say stuff like this, but I said that any agent that doesn't steal your pencils is never going to amount to anything. Right? You know, you're like, what did you say? So Vince here, see this Vince guy, 471. I'm going to click on Vince. I'm going to, so look at it, says listing alerts 1, saved none, viewed 9. Right? Does everybody see that? This is somebody that just went to my website, signed up on my website. That's what he's getting. Right? I know I'm recording this, so everybody's coming down to his email. You know, I want a 50% referral fee. And that's not what I wanted to do. And the MLS will also keep track of people that they'll say who's visited your portal and who's looked at what. Right? Now you could pay for a more complicated system that will tell you more, but right now I wouldn't worry about that. All right. Contact them when you find a property they should see. You should ask them to contact you if they find something they would like to see. I used to tell people if you're driving around the neighborhood and you see a sign and you're interested. By the way, one of the values of giving them your mobile app is if they're driving around, how many of you have given people your mobile app? What? Yeah, and yeah, who was it? Jay gave it to Gabriel gave it to Jay.
I had someone sign up on my thing last week, so they were looking at properties. So I got this thing, we're working on them.
All right. So the value of giving people your mobile app is if they're driving around and they see a for sale sign in front of the property, they can pull it up on the mobile app, which is branded to you. And then they'll know how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, what's the square footage, and all that sort of stuff. That means they don't have to call the listing agent and quiz them. It's dangerous to let people talk to listing agents. I'm just saying, you know. Do you have an agent yet? Yes. Great. Just thought I'd let you know, if I write up the offer on this listing, I'll give you a $7,000 credit towards closing costs. No, I wouldn't say that. Nobody ever says that. Right. So do you understand there's listing agents? Can the listing agent, do they have a little room to maneuver?
Yes.
Right. So do you want them calling and talking to too many listing agents?
No.
No. Right. So if they have the mobile app, then they don't need to call listing agents. It's dangerous letting your clients call listing agents. Check in to see what they think of the homes in their search. What would that mean? Check in.
Well, the criteria is still working for them.
Yeah.
Their criteria has changed.
So I guess I'm saying, should we send them an email?
Oh, we should call them.
Call them on the phone and talk with them. That's a great idea. Keep the focus on the best homes. Qualify homes found online. Is everything on Zillow really for sale? No. Why doesn't Zillow clean them up?
It's against their business.
It's against their business model. They want to have as many properties as possible on the website. They do not have a financial incentive in removing things right away. Did you know anybody could put a home on Zillow? You could just put a home on Zillow. Did you know that? You could just put a home on Zillow, right? Did you? So one of the things is that you might want to try to keep them in mind what they said they must have in a property. The reality is, this is where I diverge a little bit, is that people oftentimes buy stuff that doesn't sound anything like what they said they want. This is why we say buyers are liars, right? And it's not that they're liars, it's more that they have, Lao Tzu said, no plan survives contact with the enemy, right? And until they're out actually looking at homes, they oftentimes don't really know what they want. Is that right? It's like you go to a restaurant that's the type of food you've never eaten in your life, and people say, so what do you want? You know, I have no idea. I don't know what any of this stuff is. Make a showing appointment. So you should leverage by checking to see if there are other comparable homes your buyer might want to see at the same time. One of the values of previewing the property is that there may be homes that are not on the MLS. They're either for sale by owners or off-market properties. And you might be able to show them. Qualify properties. So what I show homes, let's just do this, right? So I was having this conversation with somebody the other day, and let me just see if this is, all right, I'm gonna go a little bit bigger. So this is what it looks like when you log into the MLS to do a search. If you scroll to the bottom, you're going to find a add and remove field. I can't tell you how many real estate agents that I've worked with who are frustrated with the MLS that when I tell them, well, have you added any, and they're like, what do you mean add fields? All right, what do you mean add fields? Because they never scrolled all the way down to the bottom. So here are all the different fields. Now, I've had people who were, I'm trying to think of a nice way to put this. Their personality style was such that they thought it was good to add every field. Right? Now, you do not want to add every field, right? There are a whole bunch of fields that you couldn't possibly think of any reason why you'd ever use them, right? And you'll be adding those. But would fireplaces perhaps be a field? Acceptable financing terms, that doesn't come up as much. Active open house count, I'm not even sure what that is. Additional listing information, by the way. I'm going to add that field if I haven't already done it. I'll show you what that has. By the way, one of the things you could do, how would you find out what those categories actually mean? Like I just added additional listing information. Does anybody know? That's going to create a drop down. Does anyone know what's in that drop down? But you don't blurt it out at once.
I bet
the
you
list.
do.
Don't blurt it out at once. So some of you are saying, I have no idea what's in that drop down. So I'm opening up by right clicking under support, and I'm going to go to where it says rules and forms, and I'm going to go down to MLS listing forms, and I'm going to click on a listing input form for residential. This would be a good thing to print out at some point And if we scroll down, interior features, this, by the way, is showing you all the different things that the MLS is capable of searching for. And some things, is it a property in the community? Community HOA, community information, new construction, marketing and photos, listing type for agents, showing instructions. Those are all the different choices, open house, listing contact information. I didn't see, where did it say additional listing information? Acceptable financing terms. Let me know when you see additional listing information. Exterior features, parking, water, sewer, energy, exterior fence.
There.
Where?
I was wrong. Damn.
Uh, Additional land available, additional storage, additional showing instructions. I don't know. I am mystified why it doesn't say that, but I thought it would just tell us, we'll look at it. Additional listing information has information like, I believe, the fixer-upper, probate, and things like that. So would it be a good idea for you to get curious? By the way, agent remarks. Now, that's searching a text field, which, in other words, it's not something that you have to match it exactly. So for example, you could search for, I'm trying to think of what we might want to search for, some words that an agent would put in. How about bonus, right? Would you like a bonus if you found, right? You could search for that. Buyer's financing, by the way, is an interesting field. Not added because it's in the search page already, all right. So I've already, So buyer's financing, have you ever heard somebody say that you can't buy a home with FHA? It's not possible, right? That everybody's all cash. There's actually a way, but one of the fields, it bounced it because I've already got it. I can tell you how many sales in the last month were all cash and how many were FHA. I can do that because I've looked at all these different fields. So let's just go back. My suggestion would be that, what is this? When sending listings from MLS, what can you send to a client? Because I've sent listings by email, and when I send it to a warning came up saying that you can only send this to a licensed agent. All right, so thank you for your question, Jamie. There's different kinds of reports, and you can send them any client report, but you can't send them agent reports unless they're an agent. So I could send you guys a agent report. Like, so for example, Roberta is doing an open house on my listing in Gilroy. I could send her a copy of the agent report because she's an agent. But I'm not supposed to send that to a buyer, right? I'm only supposed to send client reports. So, and I'll show you how to do that when we get there. So let's go down here, occupied by, the reason for that is that you can find vacant ones. Showing instructions, I like Go Direct. I like that one. Let me go down here. Additional listing information, auction, HUD owned, new subdivision, potential short sale, REO, bank owned. That's where that one is. Question.
How would you find a new build, say it was, level the existing structure and put a new house in
Well,
place?
new subdivision is that,
That's new.
but if you're, the way you would find age is how you'd find something that was rebuilt. If it's a true rebuild, they reset the age. Okay, so age. By the way, if you're going to tell people that you're an expert and have more than websites, this is something you would need to spend some time becoming good at. Right, because is it possible from looking at all those fields that you could cut the bread thinner than most websites would in terms of being able to find something? Isn't that right? All right, so, and by the way, this is where, why don't we do this, FHA, so just for fun, I just like to do this, 0 minus 30, change date, we're gonna put in San Mateo County, no, how about the Senate, how about, where am I today? I'm down here, how about, Santa Clara County, how about that? And we're gonna pick on solds, and we'll do these, and what it does is it shows us, how come nothing is showing up? Oh, because I did this. Oh, thank you. Did that help me? So, this is one of the annoying things. So why does it say 2 matches? I'm going to say sold of those. S.A. Santa Clara County. Scroll down. And what I want to do is, I'm curious about how many were FHA. And I'm going to ask for the last 0 minus 30, 24. Now, there were 24 FHA sales. If we were to say how many were conventional, and if I click on this 501, any seller financing, 2. Wow, I'm surprised there's even 2. So there's not a lot. By the way, there's a cash sale. How about that? Isn't that interesting? It was 155. All right. By the way, is that going to change dramatically depending on which zip code you're in?
Yes.
Right. So are you the local economist of choice for real estate? You'd like to be. There's a lot of useful stuff you could do here besides just finding properties. So does anybody have a client that you're looking for homes for? You don't have to tell me their name and phone number. I know this group too. Active.
Below 600, no, below 700.
Single family?
Single family, 4 plus.
4 plus. So you type in 4 plus, and the list price, you said 700,000?
Yeah.
Minus 700,000 minus, and by the way, active single families, 4 plus, sometimes the thing doesn't draw, it will, and so what area? Gilroy, all right, so that Gilroy. So if we pick area 1, that includes Morgan Hill and San Martin, which most people, the chances of finding it in Gilroy are better. How about 710?
Yeah, maybe.
How about a 5-bedroom? 2,600 square feet, walking distance to Gilroy High School, remodeled, new porcelain tile floors, remodeled kitchen, professionally staged. Yeah. Look, and he's pulling up
I'm more prepared than you, Mike.
Yeah,
There you go.
yeah. So, and Jay's got his own flyer. There you go. Yeah.
Let me know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true though.
Oh,
Five
that's
bedroom.
good.
The same.
So-
How good is it? It's good.
Yeah, it's a nice house. It's a nice house. So,
Great neighborhood.
what we have, notice down here it says 10. Now, we've created a no more than. Now, 10 is not a large number. Let's say it was 150, right? Because of the search criteria, we might want to tighten the search criteria a little bit. Now, by the way, I'm going to do something, if that's okay. Just, Jay made a flyer using the Realtor Property Resource, which is a very respectable flyer, right? But I would like to show you how to make a easy open house flyer.
I did that to Mike Lewis too, I couldn't save that one.
I know, well, it can be done. I'll show you something easy. So, now that we've done that, we have 10, which by the way is not a huge number. If we click on results, and by the way, we can click on map. Is there anything else about the other?
No.
All right, so click on results, and here they are. Now this says that there's a virtual tour. I have a virtual tour too on that one. So if we click on, you can see it's beautiful inside. You click on this. Now, if you want to email it to a client and you click on email, let's go back here. If we are emailing it to a client, right now it talks about agent one line. If we were to go to client one line, right, that's what a client one line would look like. And if they click on this, they could see more, but that would basically be just a list. If we did a client full, it's going to look like that. And if we did a client page, it's very close to full. But what you want to do if you're emailing it to a client, this is the one-line hot sheet, which just, I don't know, there's not a big difference between that and the client one line. And by the way, if you do not like the display criteria, you can change it. Did you know that? There's a thing called My Matrix. You click on My Matrix and you click on settings, and one of the things you can do is custom the display so you can come up with your own things, right? If you don't like these. But if I click on email, and because I picked client, it's probably not going to trip about who, so I'll just send it to myself. Hi, hello. And you should have an email signature. You should, and if you click on send, no email addresses. How about this, 24 here? And by the way, you don't have to have somebody set up as a client. You can just email it to somebody. Now it didn't fuss. If I were to go here and I say agent one line, and I click on email, and I click on send, it sends it out, and I already have it in, but that's usually when it gives you the warnings about this is when you're not supposed to email it to people unless they're a client. So what it's done is it sent me an email, two of them. Let's look at this one here first. And it says, we see how beautiful that branding is. And if you click on it, that's what it looks like. And they could click on it, and anyhow. Where am I? Okay, let's go back. So learning how to use this, let's say we're in here and we want to change. Refine means, and by the way, if you want to really do something, go to client one line. And if you unclick this, what refine means is it allows you to narrow or discard. So what narrow means is that if you click, let's say, these here, for some reason, and you click on narrow, it means that it gets rid of all the others. If you click on this one and that one, and you click on discard, it means it gets rid of the ones you click. So narrow means it keeps the ones you clicked. Discard means it got rid of the ones you clicked. All right. What else do we want to do here? So prepare, look at the showing instructions of the MLS to schedule the show time. You need to look at MLS showing instructions. Easiest ones are go direct. Next easiest says call first, then lockbox. Then it gets ugly. Then it says things like call the listing agent. Oh, that'll be nice. Call tenant. tenant in property, call listing agent. By the way, this is why I have the discussion with somebody who's selling their property about why they need to get rid of the tenant. Because if I'm showing homes, which of those would I show last? I have several go direct. And by the way, go direct doesn't necessarily mean vacant. I've had clients say, I don't care, anytime, tell them to come. They don't have to call, just knock first and we'll let them in, right? It doesn't, right? I've had people like that. Go direct, right? That's what they said, right? Then there's call first, then key safe. That means you call, talk to a voicemail. Hi, it's Mike on the Williams Realty. I have a client that's interested in looking at your property. I would give them a range. So even if you've done I'm preparing to show people, I'm going to go here, we're going to do this one at 1, and this one at 1:30, and this one at 2, and this one at 2:30. What will happen is they're going to look at the list and they're going to say, let's skip this one. All right, let's skip this one. Or they'll see something and say, hey, that one over there, can we see it? Can we see that one too? All right. By the way, RPR, did you know that RPR, the Realtors Property Resource, has an app for your phone? Did you know that? Right, which has a lot of also of information about properties, but you might have to find out, and so you might end up showing a home you didn't intend to show. Do you understand your timing may be off? So you should give people a wide range. We're going to be there this afternoon between 1 and 2, maybe a little later, you know. If that's a problem, call me back. You don't say, if this is okay, call me back. Right? You don't say that. You say, hi, my name's Ryan, Government Realty, I'm a client interested in looking at your property. We're going to be by around 1 to 2:30. If there's a problem, call me at this number. Right? And then you've done what the MLS requires. You show up with your key and you knock on the door. I'm sort of going through this. Knock on the door loud. Open the door. I've walked in on some really interesting things. Knock on the door, yeah. Loud. I've got a YouTube channel. Let's see, more questions. The warning will occur if not using matrix search, but using area searches on the MLS screen on the left and pulling of those listings. I don't know, we'll have to talk about that. I'm not sure if you're talking about some of the out of the area ones. Jamie, we'll talk about that later. So you've knocked on, I'm going to go through you've knocked on the door, you open the door, you yell, real estate agent, all right? And then you've let them in, all right? So now we're showing the house. So I've seen, you bring people in and you say, here's the kitchen, right? And you know what they're thinking.
Really?
I know why you need a license to do this, all right? And then when you say, here's the master bedroom, they're thinking, she scored high on her tests, right? Isn't that right? Wow, I can tell. So you're not a tour guide, right? You understand? The idea is not to be a tour guide. The idea is to let them discover the house on their own. You should answer questions, and the things you might want to comment about are things that are not visible or easily seen, right? Copper plumbing. Right? That's not, now by the way, a listing agent might have little cards everywhere that says things like copper plumbing, new air conditioning, right? Because you don't want to, would you assume that the showing agents have actually read everything in the MLS and are going to say it? Would you assume that? I wouldn't assume that, right? So you might, if you're the listing agent, put up little signs. Otherwise, when you're showing the property, you're letting them discover it as you walk through. And what your job is, and this is a checklist, by the way, I would give people 2 copies of the client printout with everything on it, the full client printout, that's the history and everything, 2 copies, 1 each. All right, I've actually seen couples fight over the clipboard. All right, they each wanted to take their own notes. The other thing that you could do you understand that the mobile app that Keller Williams has the ability to take notes? Did you know that? and pictures and notes. When I'm previewing homes, I often use Evernote. Evernote is it's a mobile app that synchronizes, but you might give them a checklist or a copy of the full printout that has the history of the property. By the way, you should know the history of the property. When was it on the market last? What did it sell for? You should know comps in the area. What other homes have sold for recently? You should be able to point, say, see that one over there, see that one there? Sold last year for this much money, pretty much the same model. They remodeled a little bit better, that's what they got for it, right? You understand, should you know comparable sales? All right, that stuff they don't know, but you're basically, I'm going to follow it. Touring the home, ring the doorbell, record your comments on the MLS sheet, give descriptive names, the smelly cat house. I'm not sure I would use cat house as a descriptive term, but, do you think that they have trouble remembering the homes they've seen after you showed them 2? All right,
Yeah.
let alone 8. Avoid making comments, that seems kind of harsh. Really? You're not going to live there. You should not tell them what you think about the house. I was showing a duplex on the east side. I've told this story before. It's one of the house had a large yellow snake that the tenants kept as a pet. I mean, a really big snake. A boa of some sort, yellowish, crawled around in the holes in the wall. They had no mice. They also had a pet iguana that was running around, usually, I guess, away from the snake.
Oh,
Yeah. This was a house that was obviously had many additions done without the benefit of permits. Wiring was oftentimes extension cord stapled gunned to the wall or the ceiling. Smelled bad, looked bad. The area where the laundry room was in a sort of a basement where it had that look that you'd see on a movie where they find the body, that sort of a, and we're looking at it at the end, and I'm letting them, look at this. And I just about said, what a dump.
They said, let's write it up.
What a dump. This isn't I have sold worse homes. But this one was competitively bad. And I instead said, so, you want to buy it? And they said yes.
Oh my goodness.
We want to buy it. Because they were gonna live there either. They were gonna rent it out. And I said, do you want to include the snake and the iguana? And they said, no, we want to make sure they're gone. I said, the snake may be hard to, I don't know. We don't have a video of them taking it out because it was in the wall a lot. So do you understand, if you don't like the carpet, should you tell people, that's an ugly carpet, look at that. I can't believe they did that in that. Wow, I never, right, do they want, is that your job? To tell them what you would do and what you would like and how you would decorate and what you think of the neighborhood and what you feel about this. Do you understand? If they don't ask you, don't tell them. Yeah.
For major issues, is there a way that through the MLS that you can see the disclosures?
The question is there a way to see the disclosures? There should be. There's a disclosure link where we upload the disclosures and you can download them. Transaction coordinators generally have them. And so you could get them. You usually don't print out all the disclosures before you showed the house.
But you
could have looked at them. You usually don't print them out, but they're available. And that's something you would go through before you write the offer. But I'm just saying, when you're showing the home, avoid making comments. All right? No, I know. But you're not going to live, are you living there? No, you're not moving in. I wasn't buying that dump. I wasn't buying it. They wanted to buy it. Why should I stop them? They weren't mentally ill, right? You know, they were adults. They were looking for the numbers fit. All right, you understand? It was the rent versus the mortgage payment was all cool. Now, if they complain, like, boy, the backyard is just a mess, right? It's just, they say, backyard's a disaster. Look at this. What would you say?
Easily fixed.
Yeah.
It depends if the owner is around or not.
I have
So-
a landscape
If
guy.
the owner's not around.
So what would
it's
you
gonna
do with it if it were yours? So what would you do? How would you like it to look? So what, do we want them to picture in their minds what it would look like? By the way, and what I used to tell people before I would start showing them the house is I would say, now, try to visualize the house empty. Because sometimes it's difficult to see past what the owner's done. There's a house that I was showing, and the owner, I previewed it, and I said, look at, because I told them this on every house, this one, you really have to, clear your mind. They had put pink flocked wallpaper, like everywhere. In the bathroom, in the kitchen, everywhere. Right? Now, when somebody sees something like that, now I know some of you, I can see that you're thinking, I've got that in my house. What's he saying? What's he saying? So there's nothing wrong with that, but can you remove wallpaper? So rather than just saying, well, I've got a landscaper, what would you do with this if it were yours? And when they start saying, well, we would put in a row of flowers over there, and we like to have an herb garden, and we could put, what would be in it? And once they start doing that, are you moving further ahead? Right? And so, well, what kind of carpet would you like? I sold this house in Almaden. My description was, it was sort of a Bordello red, right? And not a Bordeaux, but anyhow, it was this weird rose-ish. It was really ugly carpet. And people would, when they would come in, they'd go, oh my God. And I'd say, so what kind of carpet would you like? Right? What kind of carpet? What would you do? Right? You understand it? That's the answer. Objections can be your friend. It means that they're interested enough. So etiquette, leave your business card, turn off all the lights, leave it as you found it. Don't let the pets out. Leave a card on the counter, lock it, notify the agent if anything is wrong. Features and benefits. If you're talking about something that's got a big backyard, that's a feature. What's the benefit to having a big backyard?
Barbecues.
Barbecue, entertainment,
Pool parties.
pool parties, gardening. What's the advantage of doing pool parties and entertainment?
You have friends.
You have friends. Socialize. Visit with your friends. So last night I was helping an agent with a listing appointment, and the conversation, by the way, which, because they were, should we sell, should we not sell? But the conversation I think that you ought to have with buyers and sellers should be about lifestyle, right? Quality of life and lifestyle. All right. Recognizing buying signals, smiling, brightening up, asking about seller's motivations. Because you understand, why would they care if they don't want to buy the house? Detailed questions, visualizing when they start saying, I think our couch would fit over there, right? Comparing other houses, discussing what they would do, sitting down, becoming protective, asking for raising objections. Now, I already said that objections can be your friends. Objections can actually be strong buying signals. Right? Just because and by the way, you don't have to answer them. There's a difference between reality conditions that just exist or something you could do something about. This house I looked at yesterday was near the Caltrain tracks. Now,
It was yours.
well, there's nothing we can do about that. You understand? So, wow, it's really close to the Caltrain tracks. There's no reason to answer that, other than, yep. Mhm. So, what do you think? You want to buy it? Right, do you understand? Right? Rather than, well, are there things, first of all, did they say that it bothers them? No, right? Now, you might be thinking, I never lived next to the Caltrain tracks, but you're not going to live there. Right? Just because somebody says, I don't like this, or they observe something about the property, doesn't mean you have to defend the property. All right. So here are some scripts about we really want a formal done. We don't like the carpet paint or landscaping. Bring your buyers to a decision. So asking them to rank the properties as you look at them, having them write it down on the piece of paper. Ask them if they want to buy the home. So what do you think? You want to buy it? Trying to make an offer before somebody else does? Right?
With so much enthusiasm too.
Right? What?
With so much enthusiasm.
No, I mean, yeah, I mean, by the way, one of the things that I've been told is I went with an agent last night on this listing appointment, and people have noticed that I seem calm, that I'm like almost non-emotional, not nervous, not just like, and so I would just say to people, so do you want to buy it? Do you want to make an offer before somebody else does? Right? You understand, you don't wiggle around, don't sweat. If you act as though this is a unnatural question to ask, they're going to pick up on that. And it's going to feel unnatural. I've actually had people say, you ask this after every one. I said, well, yeah, my job is I'm just trying to get a gauge of how you feel about each house. Right? If it's a definite no, I just want to know, I can cross it off. By the way, what I used to do is when we came back, and usually they have an idea. I mean, usually it's not like, let's come back and think about it, right? Usually they say that's, or they'll say, let's go back and look at the other one. This, by the way, is not Keller Williams approved material. It's not what it says in the book. But I tended to show them the garbage first in a up to the best one list, right? Rather than the other. I even would drive people around into, weird, so that it would be up in a progressive order, so that they got better and better and better, right? That way, because I also was efficient. I didn't want to drive back to a house that they've already seen.
But they have like a time before you get to the top one.
Well, we'll drop off others. I also didn't plan to show them 5 homes. And by the way, before you go, what you should say to them is something like this. Just so I can get a gauge of where you're at in the process, let me just ask you this. If we happen to find a house that works for you today, are you prepared to buy it today? Now, if they say no, I would want to know why are we doing this? Then why? Why not? If they say yes, then I'd say, great, let's go find your new home, right? You understand? I'm not saying let's go look at homes. Let me drive you around. Let's go see the neighborhoods, right? We're going to go find you a home, right? And 5 and 6 are a lot of homes to show people. If you've previewed and you've narrowed it down, they may want to see more than 3, but they don't need to see 30 unless you don't know. When we would come back and we had the MLS sheets, I would have some like what are the top 2, what are the top 3, and the other ones I would crumple them up and throw them into the garbage can.
Later on.
So these are all, well, no, only if the other ones are sold. By the way, should you have called the agent that you're, so anyhow, we picked the highest scoring one. This is your favorite. I can take out the MLS, the top ranking home, flip it over, draw a line, top to bottom, pros and cons, you know, the old Ben Franklin. Ask them to make an offer. Now, let me just cover that, and then if you're showing the house, you should be paying attention to them. A new agent that I'd worked with back at the other company, I was with him, he's showing a house to this woman in downtown, and I can see she likes it, right? I mean, I'm watching her face, and he has a clipboard, and he's reading stuff to her as we're walking around. And he's turning the page and he's reading more. And there was a point where was looking for what to say next. And I looked at her and I said, "This is it, isn't it?" And she said, "Yes." And I said, "Great. Why don't we go back to the office and write an offer?" And he looked up and he was like, What happened? Did you understand? Don't get in their way, right? So this is it, isn't it? Is that a hard question, And so write an offer. Now, sometimes people are going to say, I'm not really sure. So you might say, well, great, let's go back to the office and we'll run the numbers, right? See what it's going to look like. By the way, how many of you are capable of doing a buyer cost estimate using title company software to estimate what a buyer is going to actually pay? Anybody? Any of you? Yeah.
I have idea, but I haven't done it.
Yeah. So should you know, Roberta, what their interest rate is on their loan? Should you know what points, what kind of loan? Should you know whether or not you can prove down payment? So what I used to say to people, of course you don't know yet, because we haven't gone through all the work. Why don't we do this? Let me just go through the paperwork with you. All right, don't make a decision right now. Why don't we just go through the paperwork with you? And just so you understand the process, how's that sound, okay? So you go through the contract, that's why we're practicing going through the contract. And that makes, and then once you've gone through the contract and you filled it out, just to, so that they can see what it's all gonna look like, you ask them at the very end of the process a closing question, right? I have a closing question, and I think it's the best one to ask to move people to signing the contract. You want to hear what my closing question is?
Yes, please.
Any questions? If they say, yeah, what are they? And then after you're done, any other questions? Until they say no, and then you say, great, you hand them the pen, you point, and you say, right here, sign. Right? That's the closing question. First of all, they're not going to sign something that isn't filled out. Right? I've tried that. It's hard to get people to just sign blank contracts, tell them that you fill it in. So you have to fill it. You understand? You have to fill out the contract. So when you get them back, you have to fill out the contract, right? And then ask them if they have any questions.
About that title company software?
Well, the problem, the title company software works a lot better with sellers than buyers. And there are certain things that we know buyers are going to have to pay for, but the biggest problem with that is that most of the expenses that the buyer has involves the loan. And so title companies this California Association of Realtors has an estimated buyer cost analysis. Right, but it's a free form, which means you just type in the numbers. And this is a dangerous thing to do. I'm scratching that suggestion. Right, you should be able to do a seller's net. That's a little bit easier, but many of the fees to which buyers are going to pay are lender determined. Therefore, not title company determined. But most of the seller fees are standard title company type fees. Right? They know what they are, but they don't always know what the loan origination fee is, the warehousing fee, the document preparation. Well, that they know, but all of the other fees that the lender charges. All right, we want to think it over.
That's what I was gonna ask. How many people say I need to sleep on it?
I need to sleep on it. I understand how you feel. This is a big decision. You know, most people in your position would want to take their time. I just want you to know that if you sleep on it, you may not sleep in it.
That's-
Love that too.
Right. Just saying,
True story.
right?
Or we can say just, let's make an offer, we might get it, we might not get it.
No, well, why make an offer? We're not gonna get it anyhow. So, no.
Like, let's make an offer,
So,
let's see if you get it or not.
Let's do, the big one is, we want to think about it. So do you think that's what are they gonna do afterwards? They're gonna go home, they're gonna sit at a table, and they're going to think, right? Right, one of them will stare off into the
They're gonna talk
corner.
to other people.
They're
Call their
gonna,
family and friends,
so what are they gonna talk about?
That they love this house.
that they like it, and this is the.
So how about this? So you say, first of all, the answer to most objections is to start by a cushion. A cushion. I understand how you feel. This is an important decision. Most people in your position feel exactly the same way. This is called feel, felt, found. But what I found is that sometimes people that sleep on it don't ever get to sleep in it. Right? And now, would it be determined by how long this home has been on the market and whether or not the listing agent says they, you have to, but is it, what do you think their reaction is going to be if they sleep on it for the weekend and they call you on Monday and they say, we've decided to buy it? You go, great, and you go into the MLS and you pull it up and it's a pending sale.
Why didn't you tell us it might sell that quickly?
Well, they might be, are they happy?
No.
So now you're saying, well, we can look at your second choice. Who wants leftovers? Who wants second choice? Are they happy with that? Who are they gonna blame? You. So, by the way, if you think as a real estate agent that I don't wanna be pushy, I don't wanna close people. By the way, closing is to get people to make a decision, right? What does close mean? To close is to get people, assist people in making a decision. And if you think, oh, I don't want to do that because that's going to be pushy, you're not only aren't you going to get what you want, which is a commission check, they're not going to get what they want, which is the house that they were dreaming of. They're going to miss out and they're going to blame you. And then they're going to find, they're going to blame you. And then they're going to find another agent who's going to say it to them straight. This one is going to go fast. If you wait, you're not going to buy it. You understand that? I'm telling you, right? If you want to buy this house, we got to move. Isn't that right? All right, creating buyer urgency. How am I doing? Next appointment. These are some, here's the, we want to sleep on it. Regroup and rethink. I'm not gonna go through all of this, but, I don't know. Items to take with you. I've been to homes where the power was off.
Wow.
Flashlights. I've been to homes that didn't have toilet paper. I'm just saying. Air freshener. I'm just saying.
So we carry all with us in a bag.
In my car, I have a box of stuff. One of the things I used to show as sellers was a list of all the stuff that was in my trunk. I'm not kidding. I had a list and I'd show it to people when I was on listing appointment. All sorts of stuff. Right?
Shovel.
Yeah, shovel. And one of the ones I used to, I had like aluminum foil and a bottle of cinnamon. And I'd have people say, why? Why? What?
Put it in the oven.
Put it in the oven. You take the piece of the aluminum foil, you put some cinnamon in it, you put it on the oven, you turn it on to warm, and the house smells. In fact, this is for an open house. This house smells better. All right. Is that good enough? What we're gonna be doing on Thursday is we're gonna start with page 1 of the real estate purchase agreement. We're gonna talk about filling it out. Not mentioning any, what? Thursday, yes. 11 o'clock. 2 days from today, that Thursday.
Oh, it's not in the calendar, it's
It's
not in the
not in
calendar
the
because.
calendar.
I've given it to,
The new one?
I've given it to them. I can't answer for them. I've emailed it to them.
The new one?
Is it too much?
I have proof that I have emailed to them that list.
This is from
I have-
yesterday, they were sending something.
I have proof. By the way, let me just say this about our training calendar. When you get the email, at the bottom, there's a Google Calendar. At the bottom is a little plus sign that says add to my Google Calendar. And if you click on that, it'll add the office calendar to your Google Calendar, which means you don't have to carry around pieces of paper. But I am doing, I'm just saying, every Thursday, didn't I send you an email, everybody here?
Yeah.
Didn't I send you an email? Not you. Now, you know why, you know why. You know what, 'cause you just, I mean, not on my list. I don't know, you're not on my list. I'll send, I mean, it's, basically, I just said there's a class on Thursday, we're going through the purchase contract. Line by line to explain it, to make sure we know how to fill it out. I'm not pointing any fingers, but most of the time when I'm helping people with contracts, writing them, it's obvious that many of us could use more practice in filling it out. Just saying that. Yeah, I'm just saying that. All right, cool, that's it, that's all I got. See you guys later. Is that okay? Bye, Silver.
Do you think at some point we could do the whole